For most of modern history, the scholarly consensus in the West was that writing developed in a single place, the Sumerian civilization in southern Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq. This happened somewhere around 3500 BCE, give or take a century or two. This is often called the single origin theory, or monogenesis. The theory contends that writing was invented in Mesopotamia and spread from Sumer to the rest of the world through trade and cultural diffusion. All subsequent writing was either directly or indirectly influenced by the Sumerians. Sometimes this diffusion happened through the direct adoption of cuneiform, the Sumerian script. We do know that cuneiform was adapted to write a number of languages in the ancient Middle East, much in the same way we use Latin script to write many languages today. The inscription shown here dates to the 5th century BCE. Can you make out the 3 columns? On this monument, cuneiform is used to write the same inscription in 3 different languages: Old Persian, Elamite, and Babylonian. Single origin theory also contends that the concept of encoding language into writing must have gotten around the trade routes of the ancient world, inspiring the Egyptians and the Minoans to the west, and eventually finding its way to the Indus Valley and to China's Shang dynasty to the east. The very idea of writing spread over thousands of miles and thousands of years, or so proponents of monogenesis said. Indeed, it does remain a viable possibility that the idea of writing emanated outward from Sumer and played a role in the development of writing across Africa, Asia, and Europe. This transmission of ideas is sometimes called stimulus diffusion. Starting in the late 19th century and really picking up steam in the 1980s and 90s, breakthroughs in Mesoamerican studies have called monogenesis into question. Shown here are pages from the Dresden Codex, a Mayan manuscript written on fiber cloth. The rediscovery of 2 other pre-Columbian Mayan books in Paris and Madrid in the mid-19th century, as well as a full facsimile publication of the Dresden Codex in 1880, are credited with sparking an interest in Mesoamerican studies in Europe and the United States. Still, unable to decipher more than numerals and some calendric information, scholars question whether the Mayan script was true writing for another 100 years. Mayan was more thoroughly deciphered in the 1980s and was finally recognized as a fully developed writing system. The Dresden Codex is dated to around the 12th century, far predating contact with European colonizers. What's more, it's generally considered to be a copy of an even earlier text. While there have been suggestions of pre-Columbian contact between earlier seafaring societies in the Americas, these theories are highly speculative and generally dismissed by Mesoamerican scholars. Further discoveries indicate that there were as many as 15 distinct, fully developed writing systems in the Americas before the arrival of Europeans to the continent. Suddenly, it looked highly probable that writing had developed in isolation at least twice. What's more, discoveries in the late 1990s of proto-hieroglyphic writings, like the token glyphs shown here, have supported the possibility that the Egyptians were working on hieroglyphics at the same time the Sumerians were fine-tuning cuneiform. These developments in Egyptology neither prove nor disprove the possibility of cultural diffusion from Mesopotamia, but they do suggest a new potential scenario: Egyptian influence on Mesopotamia. Regardless, it now seems at least plausible that writing developed independently not just twice, but several times. These days, it's most common to hear experts say that writing might have arisen independently in Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, and Mesoamerica. And it's not necessarily just those four. A family of scripts used by Bronze Age Aegean societies are sometimes hypothesized to have developed independently as well. Shown here is an inscription recreated from the inside of a cup, written in the as yet undeciphered Linear A script. This system of writing was used by Europe's first advanced civilization, the Minoans of Crete, from about 1800 to 1450 BCE. So why are these early Greeks often left off the short list of cultures that independently developed writing? Well, some scholars question independent development and maintain that cultural diffusion was at play. We have evidence that the Minoans traded extensively with mainland civilizations. Another reason might be that their writing and other early Greek writing systems went extinct during the Bronze Age collapse of the 12th century BCE. Greece would be without writing for several centuries, and the classical Greeks would have to relearn how to write. This time around, it would be through cultural diffusion. For other writing systems that remain undeciphered, such as the Indus script from the Indus Valley civilization, or Rongo Rongo, the glyph writing system that was used by the Rapa Nui people of Easter Island, those origins remain unclear. History is often unclear. We are left to decipher whatever evidence endures, acknowledging that what we know is incomplete. A wealth of archaeological finds, like this administrative tablet, dated to around 3000 BCE, have allowed for insights into the long transition from proto-writing to a fully complex writing system in Mesopotamia. But it is also true that our knowledge of Mesopotamian culture is benefited by the abundance of clay in the region, which proved to be a durable choice of writing medium. The earliest surviving examples of writing from some other cultures show a complexity that cuneiform only reached after centuries of development, such as with this Chinese oracle bone script. Some scholars point to the fact that Chinese writing appeared quite fully developed and seemingly out of nowhere as support for stimulus diffusion. But as Carl Sagan famously said, absence of proof is not proof of absence. It is possible that the developmental stage of Chinese writing hasn't been uncovered yet, or it played out on materials that have since decayed. It's hard to say for certain how many times writing was invented anew over the course of human history. It's even dicey to claim with certainty that Mesopotamia was first. But a single origin of writing now seems highly improbable. Polygenesis, or multiple origins, is much more likely. Click on Map View below to find out more about some of the artifacts featured in this lecture, and to explore more artifacts that demonstrate the development of writing around the world. In a drop-down menu at the bottom of the page, you can find a reference list. Click on the hyperlinks to view online resources. For physical books, the link will bring you to the catalog record for UWM libraries.